The Holy Eucharist is a sacrament received with much contempt and with so little seriousness. What will be our great shock at the hour after our death, when faced with the very same Lord whom we received with much indifference and contempt in Holy Mass? Our Lord Jesus Christ, in His immense love for men, desiring to be with Him at all times, led Him to institute the Most Holy Eucharist. Our Lord promised the Jews at Capernaum that He would give them His flesh to eat and His blood to drink. And our Lord fulfilled this promise at the Last Supper. He changed the bread into His body and wine into His blood and gave it to His apostles. How then do we respond to this immense love of God? Do we take with seriousness this most sublime sacrament, or do we treat our Lord with laxity, so commonly seen in our churches today? Dr. Plinio once said in a conference to his young followers that if we do not take the Holy Eucharist with seriousness, when we will die, we will have the greatest shock imaginable, for then we will be face to face with the infinite seriousness of God. Then God will say to us, I visited you daily for so many years. Every day I gave you the grace of desiring my visit. Every day you corresponded to that grace of going to Holy Communion. But you were never serious when you received me in that visit I made to you. You received me without reflecting upon what it meant, neither taking into consideration the consequences of that visit. And what will be our response? We will hang our heads and await the just punishment that will befall us. It could be a long purgatory for having received a Lord with such carelessness. You can understand then how worthwhile it is to meditate upon the seriousness of this sacrament. For the Eucharist must truly be the sap of our spiritual life. In his meditation on the Holy Eucharist, St. Ignatius says, "What will the angels of heaven say, they who know so well both the extreme liberality of Christ and the excessive narrowness of your heart?" Commenting on this text of St. Ignatius of Loyola, Dr. Plinio said, "This is something that should confound us. Do we pay attention to the fact that the highest angels of heaven do not have the type of union with our Lord that we have when we receive the Holy Eucharist? An angel cannot receive the Holy Eucharist. He has no body. He has the beatific vision. He sees God face to face and is inundated with all the graces of heaven, but he does not have the Blessed Sacrament. Have you ever thought about these things? Have you ever considered that the angels of heaven look at us with envy, so to speak, because we have this grace? Should we not then receive this grace with more respect and more preparation? When someone receives Holy Communion, he sees only a small round piece of flour and water, but our Catholic faith teaches us that all the angels and saints in heaven, who continuously adore every particle of the Blessed Sacrament that exists upon the earth, witness our communion with songs and praise to our Lord. Our Lady also praises our Lord because He is giving Himself to each one who receives Him. All of heaven is looking on and asking our Lord to help the person receiving the Holy Eucharist. It should be most encouraging for us when we receive communion to realize that all of heaven is watching us and praying for us. If I could use a word, I would say that all of heaven is cheering for us, asking Our Lady to have pity on us, to help us. What joy and beauty there is in the scene of a single communion. If we would meditate on this before receiving communion, would we not receive Holy Communion with more hope, confidence, and joy? Of course we would. Therefore, it behooves us to keep these things in mind as we prepare our souls to receive Holy Communion.